It's Thursday, December 29th, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we talk about Star Wars. Choo-choo!
Let's do this!
Alright, so it's like New Year's, and after work today, the boss's boss took our whole section of the company out to eat at this fancy lounge in a hotel.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it was pretty boring for a nerd like me.
Yeah, well, considering you don't drink and you don't have anything to say to these people.
Yeah, I really didn't have anything to say at all. They just like the boss's boss's wife is like a yoga something or other. So they were talking about yoga, and I was just like snoring, whatever, I don't care. And then I left, when it was train time.
Yeah, because I had my Christmas office party not too long ago, and the only thing that made it bearable was that everyone else got drunk, and then I could talk about nerdly things, and they'd pretend they were interested or forget that they're not interested.
The one thing that was weird was that the boss's boss was spending he's got like a little tiny New Year's vacation, and he's spending it in that hotel, not like coming to the city for a vacation and just staying in the hotel. Like the vacation is in the hotel. It's kind of weird because usually I go on a vacation to a place and the hotel is just a provider of beds and showers.
Yeah.
I don't go to the hotel like it's the place of the vacation.
Unless it's a resort hotel, but then you're not going to a hotel, you're going to a resort.
This wasn't a resort, but it was mad fancy. Like, they have a giant freaking spa and giant freaking fancy stuff there. Like, it was way fancier than any place I've been in.
That's not so bad, but I guess if I ever was going to go on any sort of vacation like that, I wouldn't go to a hotel. For that much money, I could go wander around Europe for a few weeks or something cool.
Yeah, totally.
So anyway, in Argentina, they discovered a near-complete titanosaurus fossil. Well, titanosaurus.
Ah, like a titan.
Apparently the remains were discovered while a German petroleum company was looking for oil.
So now why is it that they, the digging for oil is how you find dinosaurs as opposed to, digging for dinosaurs?
Because people don't really just dig for dinosaurs so often anymore.
That sucks. Like, I remember in elementary and middle school, it was always like, there are paleontologists everywhere, and they're finding dinosaurs left and right. Oh my God, you want to be one.
Well, no, I think the thing that got a lot of people to want to become paleontologists or archaeologists were Jurassic Park and Indiana Jones, respectively.
No, it was like way before that. It was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Astronaut? Paleontologist.
I was pretty much just astronaut the whole way, or president.
Because it was always the two coolest things were space and dinosaurs. And you know what? Space is still cool and dinosaurs is still cool.
But do you really expect a lot of paleontology to come out of a country where people still believe that dinosaurs are not actually real and they were put there by God to trick us?
No.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there are paleontologists, and they don't really think about what country, politics-wise. They just try to figure out where geographically in the world or where the bones are at. And
yeah, but remember, you got to find someone to pay for their trips and pay for their equipment and pay for their research.
But there's always, if you're the big-time guy, you always get paid,
Yeah, but apparently a lot of museums, they're not really in the market for dinosaur bones so much
that's because
all
the museums already have dinosaurs. It used to be that, you would go to, a specific museum. Like, I remember the Peabody Museum always had the great dinosaur skeletons, and you would go there to see the dinosaur skeletons. Now, every fucking museum's got a T-Rex and a Stegosaurus and whatnot, and it's like, all the rest of the museums are like, what do I need another one for? I already got more than I know what to do with.
Well, I saw a thing on FARC that museums just aren't doing so well in the last several years.
Really?
Yeah, attendance is down. And there actually are a lot of groups, in America at least, boycotting museums that have anything related to evolution in them.
Oh, well, those people suck, but...
Yeah, museums down south are having a lot of trouble.
I notice a lot of museums are changing. It seems like there's less of the natural history type museums with exhibits of real type things, and there's more like the science museums, which is just a bunch of gadgets and toys to play with that are supposed to teach you something.
Because that's the draw. The kids don't learn anything. They want to go to a museum and there's stuff they can touch and play with and throw around.
Yeah.
They don't want to stand there and read a wall of text.
But the art museums are still doing okay.
Yeah. It's mostly science that's having the trouble. Because science is very boring to a lot of people. Even though I don't see how that could be. I'm fascinated by it constantly.
Yeah. Well, I got to admit, though, the Natural History Museum, I've been to it 1,000 times, and
unless they get a new exhibit. Once you've looked at every exhibit,
Yeah, this is not much doing. And like any other natural history museum is just when you've seen one, you've seen them all. You know? It's like there's not much more to see until maybe we'll discover some new trilobites or something, and I'll have to go see them.
Trilobites. You know, I got some trilobite fossils.
I'll go get my own trilobites.
You want some of mine?
No, you can keep your trilobites to yourself.
All right. I'll keep my trilobites.
You do that. Next to your titanosaurus.
So in Berlin, and or was it Austria? No, it was reported from Berlin, but it's happening in Austria.
Mm-hmm.
There's a group of people, and these people are our heroes. At least mine are heroes. They're called quintessens.
What? As in 5 cents?
Quintessens with a Z on the end is the name of their group.
Oh, okay. So they're just like elite dudes, and that's the name of their group.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Every elite group gets a name, like the Yamakaze or the Front Row Crew.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a thing. All right. Well, apparently in Austria they have the same problems with the government spying on everyone with cameras that they do in Britain and other such countries of police stating.
Yep, camera on every street corner, computers looking at faces, figuring out who's who.
Well, it's not quite that. It's more that the government can set up stuff in any public area anytime they want without announcing it or anything, which is just as bad, if not worse. But some guys hack the system big time, and they set up all kinds of stuff, including jamming the signal, using balloons to block the cameras.
I like how they made a similar system that puts black stripes over people's eyes so you can have a camera to watch for crime, but you can't use it to track people.
Yep. That's pretty cool. You know what? In fact, if they made a system like that, I really wouldn't mind them using it.
Yeah, because if someone mugs me, I'd love to have a video to go get them.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, it's not so much that. It's more like some cops could watch it, and they wouldn't be able to like track people, going around and invade privacy. But
they could see when there's trouble.
Yeah, like, hey, there's trouble on Sutton and Sutton. Let's head over there. And then when they get there, then you see people.
Or they could have them on roads to monitor congestion real time and, send people little SMS updates on their phone saying, hey, there's congestion, take an alternate path.
Yeah, they already do stuff like that, but a lot of the... They
don't do that as much as they could.
The thing is, the TV news people control a lot of that stuff. It's messed up.
Yeah.
It's not as good as it could be with awesome computers.
So there's this study that's been making a lot of rounds on the internet, and a lot of the news sites have picked it up, and Fark's been talking about it. I'm sure it'll get everywhere soon. And all the headlines say that the study shows that there's more women than men on the internet now, or women use the internet better than men, or women use the internet more than men, and all these wild conclusions.
Is this the 1/3 of studies that are true, or the 2/3 that are false?
It's not false. It's not really a study. Basically,
it's not a study.
The Pew Foundation, they do a lot of research. They just did a survey. They called on the telephone a little over 6,000 people and asked them how they use the internet. Somehow I don't think calling people on the telephone is a valid methodology for getting a cross-section.
I don't know why people still use
users.
the telephone as a methodology for studying anyway.
Because there's no other way. No one responds to emails. It's spam.
The physical mail.
No one responds to that. It's junk mail. They just throw it away. But a lot of people, this is why telemarketing is still around and is still big business. People who have problems confronting other people are just prey for these people. Because you call them, and they're afraid to say no to you, and they're afraid to hang up, so they'll take your stupid survey or they'll buy your crap. Mostly elderly people, and young people, and stupid people.
Wow.
That's why telemarketing is such a huge business. That's how they make all their money.
But it's not good for a scientific study.
No, it's not. But that's the only way that most survey people really have of actually doing their studies.
Well, maybe this is why everything is so screwed up, is because people are going by these phone studies, which are no longer good.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, even the data in their study is kind of spurious. I mean, the study actually says that there were more women than men on the internet starting in the year 2000, not in the year 2005.
What do they mean on the internet?
See, that's the thing. They don't say.
Oh, great.
The only thing in this study that actually looks like it might be valid is that apparently the more money you make, the more likely you are to be online.
Gasp. Poor people can't afford a computer and another
And it claims
bill.
that black women use the internet more compared to black men. A greater gap is there than white women compared to white men. And all these kind of useless statistical correlations that actually have no useful causation behind them. It's just really a bullshit study, and I don't know why it's making all this news.
It's because it has something to do with race or gender or sexuality, and that makes big news.
Yeah,
No matter
even though
what it is.
everyone seems to be trying to use this to say, like, oh, it's the end of the domination of men of the internet, or all these spurious claims. And the study's just kind of horseshit.
Since when do men dominate the internet?
A lot of people seem to have that impression, at least in the mainstream. I mean, consider the internet when it began was mostly male nerd engineers in college.
See, it was never looked to me that like men dominate the internet. It's just that when it comes to chat rooms and forums and things, especially geek-related things, and a lot of the internet is disproportionately geek-related because, you know, most geeks use the internet and a proportion of other non-geeks, you know, not so much. And the geeks, mostly the men. So that's how it works out. But, you know, there's all kinds of women all over the internet doing things that aren't visible, like buying stuff and looking at shopping websites and clothing.
Well,
and
this study just asked stupid questions like, do you use email?
Yeah.
And more women said yes than men in the study. By
You know
a
why?
statistically non-significant trivial amount.
Because some of the geeky men don't use email anymore.
Honestly, I don't really use email.
You know what? I get more emails from computers just notifying me of things because it's easier to do it that way.
Yep. I mean, like my dad a while ago wondered why I never emailed him anymore, and I just admitted that honestly I just don't use email. I didn't want to sound, I don't know, too techie or mean, but email is just kind of useless to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this old-fashioned thing.
Only old people in Korea use email.
It's weird to think that in my lifetime I went from email is the best thing in the world to email is obsolete.
Yep. Email's kind of slow.
Yeah.
And the attachments don't even work anymore.
Not even the attachments. Apparently I've learned that AOL just randomly, arbitrarily blocks mail, spam or not.
Great.
Because there's a guy at work who tried to send email to someone who had AOL, and it never got there. AOL just wouldn't accept mail from him.
Don't use AOL.
Yeah, that's kind of the moral there. And don't believe studies you see on Google News that are pointed to by various... I'm going nowhere with that.
Yeah, when you see a title of a study, like actually read the article and then try to extrude anything that's actually fact and see if there is or isn't, because usually there isn't.
Yeah, especially on Slashdot and Fark. If there's a story and the headline says study shows blah, 9 times out of 10 if you read it, either the study doesn't show that or the study actually shows the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not exaggerating. Oh my God. Just look through some archives and you'll see.
The other thing is watch out for anyone who says study links blah and blah, because link doesn't mean dick.
Post hoc non ergo proctor hoc.
Yeah. Like, they'll say, I don't know, let me make something up. Apples cause cancer. Well, no, they'll say apples linked to cancer, right? That doesn't mean apples cause cancer. That means it could be that people who have cancer tend to eat more apples. It could mean that people who eat apples tend to have more cancer.
Like, remember way back when there was all that fear about high-tension power lines causing leukemia? There was a link between people living next to high-tension power lines and their children getting leukemia. So there was this scare, and a lot of people were afraid to live near power lines. And subsequent studies showed that that's complete BS, and actually the only correlation there was that people who lived next to high-tension power lines tended to be lower-income people, and lower-income people are more likely to have leukemia.
See, so the study said link, but link doesn't mean crap. If the study says cause, then it might have something if the study actually does show a cause and effect relationship, but then you have to read the study to make sure they're not lying. Well, you did do that anyway. So.
Yeah.
But look for the word cause and look for the word link. That's important. So my computer mouse is this hot, awesome laser mouse of awesome and wireless.
Uh-huh.
But it's not very stylish. Well, I guess it's shiny, but it's not really cool or geeky or anything. It's just a mouse.
Well, what do you expect? I mean, making a mouse that's in a funny shape tends to make it a crappy mouse that just looks cool.
It does make it a crappy mouse, but it does make it look cool. And you know what? These mice here are probably the coolest mice in a funny shape I've ever seen.
All right, they're cool, but you know what? Anyone who would actually use that has got issues.
You know what? I would use it for, like, my laptop carry around with me mouse, or, like, my emergency mouse.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, you wouldn't have to do anything serious with it, so it wouldn't use it long enough to hurt your hand. But, like, I need a mouse in an instant, it's cool to whip it out at parties and whip it out at parties. You know, like, oh my god, I need a mouse. Well, let me use the mouse. Oh, I didn't even say what the hell they were. There's a mouse that's in the shape of pixelated Super Mario and a mouse in the shape of a Goomba. Great. I love that Mario Goomba merchandise.
I know you do. You got that little diorama and everything.
The diorama was so much better than I thought it was going to be. I want to get more of those.
So I discovered a kazoo. It's a kazoo, and people are selling it.
You mean like that green guy from the Flintstones?
No.
No?
You know, kazoo. Little piece of wax paper in it.
Oh.
This kazoo has a wire coming out of it that you plug into an amplifier.
Wait.
It's an electric kazoo, like an electric guitar, only it's an electric kazoo.
Can you like get some like distortion pedals and
yes.
a whammy bar?
Yes.
A whammy bar in the kazoo?
Yes. Even cooler, there is also a version that is a MIDI kazoo. So you kazoo into it, and MIDI pops out on your computer.
Awesome.
So if you have good pitch, I guess it's a nice way to input notes if you're trying to compose something and you suck at the piano.
Are there any digital recordings of this kazoo being played that we can listen to?
Not that I have.
It could be a hoax then.
No, they're for sale, and people have definitely used them before.
How much are they?
I don't know. I didn't. It's just that there was a thing on Gizmodo like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, is this like an attachment for a normal kazoo?
No, it's a whole kazoo.
Oh,
it's a kazoo, and it has a microphone pickup lead built into it, and then the wire comes out.
We should get one for fun.
They're black. They're kind of stylish.
Not like those cheap plastic craps.
I remember it was a non-trivial amount of money. It was at least like $60, so I'm not ordering
that's
one.
not worth it for a kazoo unless
Nah.
you're like going to be a band that plays kazoo music.
Why don't we just get a kazoo and hold it in front of the microphone? Yeah.
Now you're thinking something kind of outlandish.
So anyway, like we said yesterday, it's Star Wars Day.
Hooray!
Da, 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 da.
If this is a Star Wars episode...
Where is the ambassador?
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, you might have heard us say something about an ambassador at least every other episode on this show.
That's from the very, very first scene of episode 4.
Darth Vader walks in, and he's got this guy, and he's holding him up by his neck, and he's choking him to death. And he asks him, if this is a diplomatic mission, where is your ambassador? And then he kills the guy before he can even answer.
Yep.
And thus we're introduced to Darth Vader.
Of course, there was an ambassador. It was Leia.
Yeah, she wasn't really an ambassador. She was rebel scum.
She was rebel scum, but you know what? She counted as an ambassador, and she was on the Imperial Senate, soon to be no longer more existing. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm always kind of sympathetic to the Imperial fighters, just because I liked TIE Fighter more than I liked X-Wing when the games came out.
Well, the thing about it is, like, you know, the Empire as a group, as a organization, is not so good, and the Rebels as an organization are kind of good. But the individual people, it's like Stormtroopers are cool guys, even though they're on the bad team.
Well, unless they're the clones that killed all the Jedi back in the day.
Oh, well, that's different.
I don't think they're still around, though, by the time we hit Episode 4.
Yeah, I don't think those are them. And, you know, like, Boba Fett's a cool guy, even though he, you know, does some bad stuff. He's still a cool guy. Even Darth Vader's a cool guy. And if you know, he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that's part of what makes Star Wars so good, is, like, usually you have a host of characters, and there's a bunch you like and a bunch you hate. But in Star Wars, you like all the characters. You like even, like, the big Jabba the Hutts, and you like the Emperor, and everyone's great.
I didn't like Salacious Crumb. The little guy sitting on Jabba.
He's better than the Unspeakable.
Ah, yeah.
In fact, I'd say the Unspeakable, that's probably why the Unspeakable was made the first 3 episodes so bad and everyone hated him so much, was because he was the only character in all of Star Wars that anyone didn't like.
Yeah,
even
pretty much.
C-3PO was annoying, but he always got blown up, so it was okay.
But basically the point of the show is that, this show, not Star Wars, is that we hadn't seen, you know, episodes 4, 5, and 6 in a long time.
Meaning like a year or more.
Yeah. But we'd watched 1, 2, and 3 as they came out. And There've been a lot of arguments going back and forth as to whether or not 1, 2, and 3 are better or worse, or if the only reason people like 4, 5, and 6 more is because of the rose-tinted goggles of youth. And after watching 4, 5, and 6 again, and really watching them and paying attention to them,
it's still good.
Well, I could watch episode 4, 5, and 6 over and over and over again, just constantly, and never get sick of them.
Yep.
I don't think I could ever watch episode 1 again. It just wasn't entertaining.
Maybe I could watch the Phantom Edit.
Yeah, the Phantom Edit is actually fantastic.
I know about the Phantom Edit, but I haven't seen it. But
basically, it's everything you wanted from episode 1 of Star Wars, and everything stupid was removed.
Well, the thing is, everyone rags on episode 1 because, parts of it were just really, really terrible. But there were also really, really cool parts. It was like, in episode 6, it's like at the end, there's the space battle, there's the Endor battle, and there's Luke, the Emperor, and Vader, right?
Yep.
It's 3 parts, and all of them are cool, even though one of them is the coolest, being the space battle.
Episode 1 has that stupid pod racing part.
Yeah, the pod racing part is not a good part. And then, at the end, you've got, the space, which sucks, and you've got the Jedi lightsaber fight, which is good. So you have 2 parts, but one is good and one sucks. All the parts have to be good, and that's why the first 3 the original Star Wars movies are so awesome, because all the parts were good, even though some might be better than others.
Plus, people always say, hey, the acting in 4, 5, and 6 was just as bad. It was terrible. And for a few characters, it was pretty bad. But you know what? Obi-Wan Kenobi can freaking act.
Hell yeah.
We didn't realize. We were watching, and we even watched a couple of scenes again to see just how he reacted to things. And that guy knew what he was doing.
Yeah, watch in the beginning when he saves Luke from the Sand People.
And Luke's like, I'm looking for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And then watch, Obi-Wan's face, and it's like, damn, even if you know nothing about acting, you're like, that's good acting right there. Look at that.
The only people who had something even close to that in episodes 1, 2, and 3 were Ewan McGregor, who played Obi-Wan of all people.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Mace Windu was kind of good.
He was all right.
He definitely had it when, we're going to spoil things. You've all seen Star Wars.
If you haven't, whatever.
When Anakin goes up to him and is like, hey, Darth Sidious? Yeah, he's over that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mace goes, you wait here, and he shows up with a lightsaber and is like, I'm going to kill you.
Yep. Actually, the Emperor is not a bad actor. I think it was the same guy in all 6 movies playing the Emperor, from what I hear.
Huh.
The same person is the same actor.
That I do not know.
I'm pretty sure it's the same guy in all 6, and that's cool, because he's good. And if you do not believe me, you will die.
Though Hayden Christensen, the guy who played Anakin...
He's just terrible.
At first, I thought, all right, it's probably just the directing. But then we looked at what else he's been in. Nothing.
Yeah, this guy hasn't been in movies for crap, nothing good, nothing ever heard of. He sucks.
Yeah.
But the chick who plays the princess, who's always the butt end of Slashdot jokes or whatever.
You mean Natalie Portman?
Yeah, that one. She's actually in a lot of good movies, and she can act really, really well.
Well, on that, we can definitely blame George Lucas's direction.
Yeah. Well, and also, she didn't really have a lot to do in the second and third movies, as much as the first one.
Yeah.
And, what she had to do didn't really leave a lot of room for awesome acting.
No.
But she did make she didn't really help out the lovey-lovey scenes much at all.
God, that was just painful.
This is equalitate. What's the word?
Wow. See, on one hand, I should cut that out and put it in the outtakes reel, but on the other hand, that was awesome.
Equate. I equate that scene and those love scenes to the rave scene in the second Matrix movie.
See, I never actually saw the second Matrix movie, but I've heard so much about this rave scene.
It's just 20 minutes of a rave.
Great.
That's it. It's just it's as painful and terrible as the lovey-lovey scene in the second episode of Star Wars.
Now, one thing I noticed, but this was in episode 5 mostly, but it also came back a little in episode 6. And this is just things that I never really noticed before because I never watched Star Wars from a critical, pay attention to everything eye, as opposed to a, woo, things are shooting at things eye.
Woo!
And I noticed that Darth Vader kills, dozens upon dozens of Imperial officers throughout the course of these movies.
I didn't even notice this is funny jokes. He's talking to an admiral and then he chokes him, right? And then he goes to the next guy and he's like, you do this and this and this. Admiral.
And the guy's like, crap, now I'm going to get choked. And then sure enough, later on, he gets choked.
Yep, and then he kills him, and he tells another guy, you have to really pay attention, because you don't really care what ranks people have and stuff. That stuff nerds pay attention to. But if you miss it, you miss that Darth Vader killed one guy and promoted the other guy, and it's funny.
And then he killed the other guy. So he's killing all these officers. And then when Luke's there, and Luke's like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And Darth says pretty much, my master is far less forgiving.
Less forgiving than choking everybody who even messes up once?
And he keeps saying, do not underestimate the Emperor.
Yeah, do not underestimate the power of the Emperor.
And Luke's like, yeah, whatever, Dad. And then they finally get there.
And he underestimates the power of the Emperor.
Which is fine at first, because he's like, you're just an old man. What are you going to do? And the guy's like, you'll join the dark side, or you will die.
You will die.
You will die. And then finally, the Emperor just gets sick of him, and the Force lightning comes out, and that's the end of Luke.
Yeah.
He underestimated him.
He did. Good thing Darth Vader, had some good, supposedly. The other thing that you don't notice in the movie unless you really pay attention is, everyone makes the joke, it's a trap, with the Akbar. But there's a lot of traps.
Not only that, there's a lot of only hopes.
It's just traps and only hopes. That's all the whole movie is.
Watch all 3 episodes and just make a drinking game out of it. Keep track of how many times someone says either something is my only hope or something is a trap.
Yep. Or a trap happens. Like, there's some traps that people don't say it's a trap. Like, they go to the Cloud City, and Darth Vader's there. It's a trap. And then the Emperor hides the fleet on the other side of Endor, and they come out, and it's a trap. And then what else is a trap? There were some other ones. Oh, when they go to Endor, and he sent, legions of his best troops to the surface.
Yeah,
that was a trap. Luckily, the Ewoks got him out of that one.
But then Han Solo left his trap for them, and it was just traps back and forth.
Yeah, it's just trap.
And everything's their only hope. I mean, first of all, episode 4 is called A New Hope.
Yep.
And the first thing you see is Leia, the little recording going, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.
Mm-hmm.
And then later Han Solo's like, Lando, you're my last hope. And then when they're going to destroy the Death Star, they're like, all right, this is our final hope.
Yep.
It's all with the hope.
Just hope that episodes 1, I don't know. I wanted to make a joke about episode 1, 2, and 3 being terrible and can use the word hope.
Nah.
Yeah. 3 actually wasn't that terrible. It was just mostly... They had all the fanboy awesome action, but it just wasn't, didn't have the good moviness to it. I don't know what it was.
It had one thing going for it, and it's pretty much the saving grace of this movie, is that, a lot of times you watch a movie, and it's like something happens to a character, and there's an obvious correct decision that character should make to resolve things the right way. Mm-hmm. And then they do the exact opposite, and then the whole movie goes to hell.
That always pisses me off when people do things in movies, and I'm like, why don't you just do X? It's so obvious it would solve all your problems. Oh my God, you're dumb. You're only not doing X because it's a movie, and it's dumb, and it's annoying, and I can't stand to watch things like that.
Well, the fact that in episode 3, everyone does... I mean, there's a moment where I thought the movie was going to be really, really stupid, and I was almost going to stop watching.
Yep.
When the Emperor is alone with Anakin, and he reveals himself, I am Darth Sidious, dark side, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And then Anakin leaves. And instead of doing the movie thing, which I expected, which was him not saying anything and then joining the dark side,
yep.
Instead he goes straight to Windu, right away, and says, yo, Darth Sidious is that way.
Hey, you, the most powerful Jedi there is. Yeah, the Sith Lord, he's right there. Go get him.
And then Mace Windu does the other smart thing. He immediately goes, what? Fucking, and he takes all his friends with lightsabers, and they go to kill the guy immediately.
And he would have killed him, too, if Anakin hadn't turned to the dark side.
Yeah, but that was okay, because that was expected.
Because that made sense.
The fact that 2 people did the smart thing in a movie consecutively made that movie awesome.
Yeah, it's not like those movies that you see where, some guy's beating his wife, and then the wife doesn't call the cops. It's like, what the hell? It just pisses you off. It's like, you could solve all your problems, but you're dumb. It's that kind of thing that bothers me.
Yeah.
But this is the exact opposite, so it's good.
And one other thing we kind of noticed, and a lot of people have been talking about this, that if you watch the movies from the perspective of R2-D2, R2-D2 is like God. He does everything. He's responsible for every plot thing that happens in all of Star Wars.
R2-D2 is responsible for every awesome thing. Like, look how many times that they would have just been trapped or dead if it wasn't for R2-D2 messing with the computer.
Turn off all the trash compactors on the detention level.
Turn them all off. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, he turned them off. Oh, my God, he opened the door that we were trapped behind. Oh, my God, he hacked into the system and got the important information.
And also, look at how many... Every time something important happens, R2-D2's around. Anytime someone tries to mess with R2-D2, something bad happens to them.
Yep. Oh, look, he's in the X-Wing whenever there's, important Luke X-Wing action going on. He's always in the Death Star or in the Star Destroyers and things, opening doors. He's always, he carries the Death Star plans right at the beginning. You see him before you see other important people.
Yep.
Just, here I am, I've got the Death Star plans, ha ha ha.
Plus, he's smarter than everyone.
Oh, yeah, totally.
He always does the smartest thing at any given moment.
And he's brave, unlike a lot of other wussy people. I mean, like, Han Solo's kind of brave, but he's stupid brave. Like when he runs down a hallway going, ah! And then there's a million stormtroopers, and then he turns around and runs. R2-D2 just, like, goes straight for where he's got to go. He's just like, witch-witch-whew! And then he just rolls right towards wherever the action is and gets right in on it. I mean, you got to be pretty brave to sit on top of an X-Wing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Though, I got to say, C-3PO was even more annoying than I remembered. But not annoying in a Jar Jar Binks way.
I think he's less annoying because I know the annoying things he's going to do.
Yeah.
So it's more painful when someone says something you don't expect, and it's just painful. But it's
look at the difference, too. Every time C-3PO does something stupid, he gets blown up.
Or filled with sand.
Yeah. Every time Jar Jar Binks did something stupid, he got promoted into the Senate or whatever.
Yeah. That just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
I like the Wookiee. I guess that's also kind of cool is how Chewbacca, like, I kind of like, if I think about him, it's like the big bad Wookiee. He's going to get you, right? And like in the first movie, they're like, Wookiees don't rip, droids don't rip people's arms out of their sockets when they lose.
Let the Wookiee win.
Yeah, let the Wookiee win, right? But the rest of the movie, the Wookiee doesn't really rip any arms out of sockets so much.
He's always a nice guy. Like,
he's
he gives Luke a hug
he's always
when he sees
friendly and happy and.
Well, of course, if you've seen the Star Wars Christmas special, he really loves his family.
Yeah, don't even mention that.
Boba Fett's in the Star Wars Christmas special.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
I'm pretty sure it's his first appearance.
Mm.
He's not in Episode 4.
No, he's not in Episode 4. Except for that stupid...
Yeah, the made-up added scene that has the same dialogue from the previous scene.
Yeah, that one. He did fall in the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, that was pretty much the end of him.
I like the Sarlacc. See, that's another thing I like about Star Wars, is like other movies will just have like a pit. But Star Wars like names the pit. So it's like a lot of the stuff in the Star Wars universe is just made-up nerd stuff. But the movie kind of supports it by, those little details like that, I don't know. It's just cool.
I guess all we can say is that we really like episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Star Wars. And to all the people who say that we only like them because we saw them when we were young, no, they're still awesome. And 1, 2, and 3 just don't have that magic.
Yeah, and it's not just a child eyes thing, definitely. I can prove it because, like, He-Man I watched, and I used to love with child eyes, but if I watch He-Man again, it's painful.
For the love of God, don't watch He-Man. If you thought you liked that show when you were a kid, just let it be.
Yeah, but Voltron's still cool.
It's all right.
And Transformers is still cool if you're in the mood.
I'm rarely in the mood for Transformers.
Yeah, but it's still, it can be good. Voltron's always good. Yeah. And Star Wars, also good.
Yep. And on our final note, let it be echoed throughout the ages that Han Solo shot Greedo in the frickin' stomach, and he shot first.
And you didn't even get to see him shoot because it was just this puff of smoke from under the table.
Yep.
Just poof.
And George Lucas can go to hell on that point.
I think he's already on his way.
And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Thanks for listening. Please remember to point your favorite podcatcher at feeds.feedburner.com/geeknights to get the latest episodes as soon as they're released.
Also, please visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com for the latest updates and forum discussion. And whether you love or hate our podcast, we won't know unless you send your feedback to us at geeknights@gmail.com.